Hey guys, I'm Jeremy Yoder from Mad Scientist Barbecue, and today I'm really excited to show you how you can make amazing, delicious lasagna on your Pits and Spits pellet grill. Now the first thing you want to do when making your lasagna is make your sauce. Now you can buy meat sauces, you could do that, there's nothing wrong with that, but this isn't really that hard. All you need to do is get something like this Dutch oven, we have a Le Creuset right here, and you brown sausage, mild Italian sausage, and some ground beef, and you can make it fattier or leaner depending on your preference. You brown that along with some onions and garlic. Then you're going to add in some tomatoes and you're going to build that sauce, and so we'll put the recipe right here. The one thing you want to keep in mind when you're making that sauce is before you add the tomatoes and all the watery ingredients, make sure that you brown the meat really well, because that caramelization that's going to take place on the outside really provides a great layer of flavor to the final lasagna. Otherwise, you're just going to have basically boiled meat, and you don't want boiled meat, you want browned meat. And then also, one thing to look for before you add those things in, besides the browning of the meat, is that those onions become kind of translucent, almost clear. That means that your onions have cooked down really well, and now you're ready to build your sauce. And so after everything's browned, throw everything in, let it simmer for about an hour to an hour and a half just to really meld all the flavors together, and then you're ready to go. We're going to be out here by the smoker getting ready to set up this lasagna. The dish we're going to use for this is a 9 by 13 baking dish, and it's about the perfect size for the lasagna noodles themselves. And you can go to pretty much any grocery store and buy lasagna noodles. You just cook them for maybe 8 or 10 minutes to your level of doneness that you like in some water with a little bit of salt. You pull them out, you run cold water over them to stop the cooking process, and then you're ready to build your lasagna in one of these pans. And so the first thing we're going to do is start with our first layer. Now lasagna consists of many layers. The first layer we're going to use is a meat sauce layer. Then after that we're going to cover that with lasagna noodles, and then we're going to put in the cheeses, and we'll show you each step along the way. But first, let's add some meat to this pan. We're going to use about 1.5 cups for the first layer, not too much, because we want the lasagna to hold together. Because if you make layers too thick, it all becomes kind of sloppy and doesn't stick together very well. But if you make them too thin, you get a lot of chewy noodles and not a lot of flavor. So finding the right balance is key. After the first layer of meat sauce, we're going to add in our lasagna noodles. 3 will fit across the bottom all the way from one side to the other, but I like to kind of double that. I like to use 6 and kind of layer them in just to make sure it has good structural integrity, so when you try to cut out pieces of the lasagna in the end, it doesn't all fall apart, because you've probably had some lasagna that kind of just turns into mush when you're trying to cut it in the end, but what you want is clean, clear slices packed with flavor. Right, now that we got our first layer of noodles down, this is what makes lasagna different than just noodles and meat sauce, okay? So it's different than just regular pasta. So what we have is ricotta cheese. So we used about 16 ounces of ricotta cheese, chopped up some fresh parsley, threw it in there, and now just before we put it in there, we are going to crack an egg and mix it all together and then put our first layer of ricotta down. Now by adding the egg, we get an additional level of richness, and it becomes more spreadable. So you get 2 for the price of 1 for that. So we're going to use about half of this on this layer of cheese on top of the first layer of noodles. At this point, we're ready for our mozzarella cheese. We're going to use about 4 ounces to cover up this layer right here. Next we have our heavy hitter Parmesan cheese. Nice and pungent, gives it a really great kick, and it's a delicious flavor that is very at home in lasagna. So we're just going to do a light dusting of this grated Parmesan cheese over the top. At this point, we're just going to repeat the layers, and then we're going to cover the top with a nice layer of Parmesan cheese so that can really melt well and then eventually brown and give delicious flavor to that top surface of the meat. And then also we get the side benefit of that being exposed to the smoke, so it's like we have smoked mozzarella on the top of our lasagna, delicious. Okay, we built our layers. We have 2 of every layer now, and we're ready to put it in the smoker. So we're cooking at 375 degrees, and the beautiful thing about pit and spit smokers is that you set them at a temperature and they stay at the correct temperature. You don't have any of these wild fluctuations that you do with other pellet smokers, maybe 30 degrees too hot, then 30 degrees too cool. It's gonna stay right where it's supposed to be. Now the reason we wanna do it in a smoker is because we get more flavor. We're gonna get smoke flavor on that top layer of cheese, and because that's exposed, you can kind of go a little heavier on that final top layer of cheese because it's all gonna melt. You're gonna add smoke flavor and you're gonna caramelize that cheese. So that's why we're doing it the way we're doing it. Now, we have to cook everything before we start caramelizing that cheese on top because we added raw egg to the ricotta mixture, so we have to cook that through to make everything perfectly safe. So we're gonna cover this in foil with a little bit of cooking spray on the underside of that foil just to let everything cook thoroughly. Then we're gonna remove the foil, brown the top side, and we're gonna have amazing, little bit smoky lasagna. All right, it's been 25 minutes here at 375. We still have it wrapped up, and now it's time to take off that aluminum foil so we get perfect caramelization on the top. All right, it's looking really good already. So 25 minutes uncovered to try and infuse some smoke flavor, and then it's gonna be done cooking. All right, this lasagna is done. So about 25 minutes uncovered, and this is the right level of caramelization that I'm looking for. So we're gonna pull it off and let it rest for 15 minutes. I don't know if I'll be able to wait that long, but that's the proper way to do it. So we'll pull it off and let it cool some. Now it's time to cut this and dig in. I've let it cool for a few minutes. I should probably wait a little bit longer, but I'm too hungry to wait anymore. So I'm gonna get this corner piece right on the edges. It's my favorite part. Right now, time to see how it tastes. That is so good. I mean, everything complements. So we have the Parmesan and mozzarella on the top. It's caramelizing, got some smoke flavor there. You have the richness of the ricotta cheese, and then we have acid from the tomatoes and the meat sauce, and then we have those noodles, those lasagna noodles running through. It's superb. Now, if you want to make something that's going to really satisfy your family or just for yourself, this is a great way to go, and it's really, really easy. Nothing complicated about it, and I recommend everybody out there give it a shot. So good. It's a great combination.